I've watched like a lot of videos like this lately, and I wondered why I never did this. It's been 2 months since I last posted. I got burnt out, not with reading, but with editing and recording. My hair's blue. It's hair wax. My hair's a little bit longer since you last saw me. I'm recording on a new phone because I switched to Android. I've been wanting a new phone for forever, and I heard Androids have better cameras. Let me know if this is better. I'm not sure if this is better quality or not. My reading goal last year was 150, and I surpassed it at 177 or 175, between those. I'm trying to make videos. I don't know. I'm gonna do reading vlogs now, reading challenges now. I'm gonna actually try to pull off a 24-hour readathon sometime in the future. Today is February 18th. I'm not sure when this video is going to be coming out. That depends on when I finish this video. Welcome to books I predict are going to be 5 stars. Some of these are ARC reads. Some of these are books that have been sent to me that I haven't read yet. So is this just me trying to catch up on books that I haven't read? Next question. I have a couple books. I'm going to show you all of them. I don't have really like a polling system because I'm pretty sure I'm locked out of my Instagram account. Since I've made this, since I've gotten this new phone, I have not been able to log into my Instagram, but still follow it anyway because I am going to get my account back once I figure out what to do. 5 books out of 9. These are the ones that I absolutely think are going to be 5 stars. Mostly think are going to be 5 stars are other candidates. Really mad that I got this from Target. You can't take a sticker off. Thank you for letting me know that it was $69 for a limited time. Okay, $69 for a limited time. I understand that, but I can't take it off. Nothing makes me more upset. Because I have a little Pulitzer Prize golden sticker on it with this. Why is it my business? Because I already took one sticker off this one. Looking for Alaska by John Green. Everyone knows about John Green. I read The Fault in Our Stars by John Green, and I'm pretty sure I read another book, but I'm not sure what it was. Or I just didn't read one, and I'm crazy. Turns out the other John Green book that I thought I read was Turtles All the Way Down, and I looked at that book, but I never read it. Really, I just got this because it was on sale. Our Fault in Our Stars was not one of my favorites, so I didn't give it a 5 star. But I got this one because I've heard such great things about it. Second runner-up, Midnight is the Darkest Hour. I got the ARC read for this book. I'm pretty sure it was an ARC read. Now I'm not so sure. I know this is a thriller, and it's quite popular now because I've been seeing audiobooks and stuff for it, and it's like, it was voted in Goodreads or something. I don't know what I'm talking about. I know that this is one of the few hardback books I have, but Midnight is the Darkest Hour is definitely, I think it would be interesting, but if anything, I would assume that this would be a 4 star, and maybe we can do like a part 2 of this video where I get like 5 more books, try to see if these are 5 stars. I know this is a thriller / horror. Madman by Chasey Groot is a book that I've been talking about literally since I got it from the thrift store. I know it's about some kind of mania and something to do with mythology. I still think that this would probably be a 3 or a 4, considering I don't know much about mythology even after I read the entire Percy Jackson series. I know it deals with psychology, I think, at some point, and I've been thinking about this book, but I've never started it. This is definitely gonna have to be for another time because this is a very, very big horror. And it was actually voted as one of the top horror books of the year last year, and that's The Reformatory. I got this book in a giveaway before it came out. Was too scared to read it in October, so I didn't. But this book is kind of thick. I know it doesn't look as big on camera as it does in real life, because this thing is kind of huge in real life. And it's about, you heard that? That's how you know it's a big book. It's more than 500 pages, but not more than 600. It's about 465 pages. And while I can definitely finish this in a day or two, from how much I've heard about it, I definitely think it has the potential to be a 5 star or a 4.5. But I don't think I'm going to be able to read this week. This is a big book, okay? This has to be saved for next time, for next video, whatever. Technically, there are 6 books, okay? Don't laugh. The ones that didn't get disqualified that I think are going to be 5 stars, we're going to start with the first one, Bride by Ali Hazelwood. I just got this book like 3 days ago. I'm like 36% in, so technically it doesn't count as a full book for this video, but who cares? I'm on chapter 11, Vampires, Werewolves. Did not know Ali Hazelwood was capable of writing something like this. I know all her other books have been like romance and like science romance. So Bride came out February 6th, and I didn't know anything about it. I just got it. And honestly, from how it's going so far, I'm smelling 5 star. Like from over here, I'm smelling it, I'm feeling it, I'm tasting it. I'm thinking this is gonna be a 5 star. Every day I think about this book. That's 5-star potential, right? I give things 5 stars based off of vibes, not story. I feed her to the beast, and the beast is me. This book, okay, when I first saw it, I was like, this is going to be the horror thriller of a lifetime. Lifetime. I don't think I'll ever get over this book if I do read it. Haven't read it yet, but I know it's something about a boy that keeps dying and getting reincarnated. That sounds like 5-star potential to me. I've heard good things about this book, okay? And I know a lot of people don't like this author. I myself do not like this author for a multitude of reasons. I've read 4 of her books. Okay, I heard that this is her best book and a thriller. People say that her genre should be thriller instead of romance because she writes a good villain. And I mean, honestly, every man in her books, and I don't know, I've just been in a horror mood. The Coworker, and I know this is new. This book just came out. The audiobook for it is only 8 hours, and I know that because I looked it up. I know I've probably shown this before, but this one came with a custom bookmark that matches the book. And I thought that was cute. Like I said, I've been in a big thriller mood. I've been reading Freida McFadden like last week. Let me put this bookmark back in before I lose it, because y'all know all those bookmarks I got last time I went to the library, poof, don't know where they went. And it's not my fault, they just disappear. This is one that I already kind of started reading, but I mean like I read the first page and I put tabs in it. Piglet by Lottie Hazel. I've been wanting to read this for a long time, especially since like this comes out March 2024. So this is another ARC read that I'm actually gonna read on time. I've also put a hold on the audiobook for this. What happens to her husband, something about marriage, something about kids, girl. To be honest, I don't know, but I think that this one is definitely more of a literary fiction than a horror. And when I read Beartown by Frederick Bachman, I was just blown away. Like, I didn't know that literary fiction could be like this. So these are the tabs I put in it. Oh, you can't see. These are the tabs that I put in it to match the cover. And then I proceeded to not read it. And I did this like a month ago. So those are our choices. Those are the books that we have. This is our 6 books for the video. These are our hopeful 5 stars. So these are the 6 books I'm going to be reading this week. I don't know which one to choose first. I think I want to keep reading Bride. I want to keep reading Bride because I already started it. And I haven't started any of the other ones. The closest I got to starting any of these is reading the first page of this one and reading the summary on this one. So ones that didn't get into the club this video,
Did she?
what is with me and always recording when the laundry is going? It is 11 o'clock at night. I'm making these noodles. I thought while I'm making these, I can talk about the book. I am like 50%, 52% into Bride by Ali Hazelwood right now. It's still day 1. After I eat these noodles, I'm definitely gonna have to take a shower because your girl's a little rank right now. I think chapter 14 or 16. Okay, this lighting is terrible. Okay, yeah, that's better. If you don't know what this book is about, it is fairly new, so I wouldn't be too shocked, but it also is pretty popular because one of the sections had like 1,100 highlights. This book came out February 6th, I'm pretty sure, and it is a supernatural or romance. You can call it supernatural or paranormal. I don't know what the difference is. It is about vampires and werewolves. Now, one thing that like threw me off really bad when I started this book is that vampires is spelled with a Y in this book. When I first read that, I was just like, okay, that's definitely different. And when they say werewolves, instead of saying like the full thing werewolves or wolves, they call them wares. But it's like W-E-R-E. So that kind of threw me off because I've never seen nothing like that before. But then again, I'm not like a big supernatural reader. I always say basically when I start an explanation. So we have our main character, Misery. Yes, her name is Misery. For the longest time, and by the longest time I mean about like 15% of the way into the book, I thought that was like a nickname or something, or like, you know, a title that she's been given. But no, that is her God-given name. What really pegged it as weird to me is that her brother's name is Owen. So Misery and Owen, but I digress. They have 3 creatures. I'm not sure if they have more, but we have vampires, werewolves, and humans. Humans is the biggest population out of all of them. And then there's vampires who have dwindling numbers because they don't have high reproduction rates, is what I meant to say. And for werewolves, it's kind of the same, but not really. So our main character, Misery, I'm pretty sure their last name is Lark. Misery, she was the collateral. So there was a big war between werewolves and vampires a long time ago, a couple hundred years ago, where there was a lot of slaying on both sides, and they put them in a really bad political place. And so every few years they send out their collateral. So like a vampire goes to the werewolves, and then a werewolf comes to the vampire, and if one of them does something that violates their agreement, then they kill the other one. So like they'll kill the kid or whoever is the collateral. So Misery, even though she's like one of the higher powerful families, she was sent to be the collateral for 10 years. And mind you, she was sent when she was like a child. And so she got sent to the humans, and you know, they kind of like, it's like a triangle. So she was sent there. She was raised in foster care with her adoptive sister, I guess you can call her, named Serena, and they've been very close since they were kids. And then there's the werewolf. His name is Lark, I'm pretty sure. Lark Moreland, I think that's his name. But he is the alpha, and he killed the last alpha in a challenge to become the alpha. And so he's like the newest alpha person there. Misery's dad is marrying her off to this werewolf guy, and the marriage is only supposed to last a year anyway. I'm definitely liking it more than I thought I would. And so it's a question of now, is this a 5-star book? Right now, okay, we're gonna come back, since I'm halfway through, I'm gonna tell you now, and then when I finish it, I'll let you know my rating. But as of now, I'm getting 4-star. Totally forgot to mention that this is I think a young adult romance or an adult romance, so there is going to be like some smut scenes or explicit scenes, however you want to say it. And you guys know how I feel about smut. More times than not, I usually skip it, and to be honest, I'm never really excited for it unless there's like a really good build up and a lot of like character development that leads up to it. Other than that, it's just like, okay, or unless it contributes to the story. I hate smut for the sake of smut. If there's no story to go with it and it adds like nothing to the story, it just gets me hot, because so many people write these books just for smut. Like the plot around it, there usually either is no plot or it's very pointless. And no hate to the people that read smut, because you do you, girl. I see you slaying as you should, but it's not for me. That's just like established characters, established relationships, or it has something to do with the plot, like if one of them almost dies or something, you know, something important, then like absolutely. But for the sake of it, just doing it just cause, it irks me so bad. I don't know why I went on a rant. Like, I'm not into like purity culture and all that, but it just like, it gets me feeling some kind of way. It is February 21st, 4:20 a.m. Oh my gosh, excuse me. I'm 75% into Bride, and I have complaints. It was almost, okay, it's almost a 5-star, but like I haven't finished it yet, but updates, I guess. So first of all, the supernatural element, you know, the vampires and the werewolves, what's happening in the story right now. So they have like, I know I probably said this yesterday, but they have like a collateral. She's looking for her friend slash sister from when she was collateral. Her werewolf husband guy, he was like super aggressive at the start, but it turns out he's just like really chill. And he's like, okay, yeah, I'll help you find her, because it has something to do with him, because he has a little sister that is like half werewolf, half human because of his mom. And so they're like searching for her dad, and they're also still trying to find Serena because Serena's somehow connected to this guy. It was good, okay, up to like maybe 60%. I posted this TikTok earlier about it.
what did it get me?
The book was good. It had a plot. We were like leading up to something, definitely. Like we're having this little mystery on the side of like learning about this supernatural stuff and learning about their relationship. A little bit over half in, almost 60, but not necessarily 60. And we're having a jolly good time, right? But then like she feeds off of him, her husband. I feel like I should say names. Misery feeds off of Lo because they're like almost found out hacking into this other alpha ladies program thing, which they're not supposed to do, obviously. Blah blah blah. And then like it's like after that, smut, and then you get like a breather for like 3 pages and then smut. It's not like no Emily Henry closed doors type stuff. It's like boom, right in your face. Scientific names for everything. Super description, super descriptive descriptions. I read about 2 paragraphs before I skipped it. So if they did have some important dialogue during it, I would know because I skipped it. Like I thought it was gonna be cute. He's giving her a bath basically, and I'm like, oh, this is cute. She's had to take care of herself since she's been the collateral, and since even then before that. So I was like, oh, he's taking care of her. That's so cute. And then boom, smut. And I'm like, and then I was like, okay. And then I just like skipped it, and I was like, okay. So they're talking again. So I keep reading, and then like the chapter's not even done yet, smut. And that goes on for like 10 pages. Like I said, I'm not into like super like purity culture and stuff, and like I will read smut sometimes, even if it's not like closed door, but I don't go seeking it. You know, I thought this was gonna be like a cute little romance, and I don't like it. And that's like such a bummer because I love the characters, I love their personalities, I love their names, I love the lore behind them, and these are like the first kind of characters that I've read this year that feel like people. It wasn't bad, but I didn't want to read it, so I didn't. I'm getting flashbacks, sorry. And it's such an inconvenient time too, because like, yeah, they built up to it, but like just barely, like just a few chapters before that, they just started talking to each other. Like she's been living in this castle or this place, mansion, whatever, for weeks. And they just had like their first heart-to-heart talk. This is the first time they've talked since they got married, like the first time they actually had a conversation. So for them to have like 3-4 chapters later just smut right in your face, it's like, oh, it's went down from a 5 to a 4.5. I'll come back with updates. It's 5:42. No, I didn't go to sleep. Yes, I'm gonna be tired. Yes, I have school. I just finished Bride. And let's just say my 5-star radar is off by a lot. I assumed this was gonna be a 5-star because I like vampires, werewolves, and stuff, and it had the brewing of a 5-star. But let me tell you what made me rate it 4.5 instead of 5. Other than the fact that I love the story, when the story started, the way that she talked about her adoptive sister, I thought that they were gonna be lovers. I thought this was gonna be like a lesbian story. So when she said husband, I was like, whose husband? Was very much confused. But you know, I guess if that's how you feel, the smut. If it was a constant throughout the entire story, I wouldn't have had such a problem with it. But she tried to squeeze like 4 long scenes in like the last 40% of the book. Like the last chapter before the epilogue is a smut scene that lasts like 20 pages. No joke, no lie. Like when I got to like chapter 30 and it said I had 16 minutes on the chapter, because that's the longest I've had on the chapters, most of them are like 5 minutes at most. I was like, okay, well, what happens in this chapter that is like 16 minutes to read? And then literally 3/4 of the chapter is a smut, it's a smut scene. And I'm just like, okay. First smut scene, I was just like, okay, like I told you, the bath scene, I was like, okay. And then immediately after, like, they're talking, and then again, I'm like, okay. And then they get to her old apartment, and they're looking around, and then bam, again, and I'm like, okay. Mind you, this is like maybe 2-3 chapters between, and then we get to the last chapter. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a sweet moment. He's like reconstructing this room for her because she's moving in, and boom, smut. I'm like, Say what? Huh? I guess happy ending. Literally. It had me stressing. Like, genuinely, it had me stressing. I'm like, okay, I guess. And maybe if it wasn't straight, I probably would have been like, hey, get it. But you think I want to read that? You think I want to read that? Misery has the makings of being the Rhea of the vampires from WWE, and you put her with a man. The potential is there, and it's a good story overall. I just feel like the first time this might happen, it added nothing. The second time they were trying to teach us about werewolf biology, kind of, but not really. Like, they introduced it, and then like the third time it's the same thing, but they like graze over it, and then the fourth time is when they actually explain it. It's like, you're teasing me, you're edging me, what? You're dipping your toe in it, and you're not explaining it? Because like, if you introduce it the first time, then I'm like, okay, well, what's that about? And then you bring it up later and you explain it in the final chapter, then it's like, yeah, that makes sense, but you're just like teasing the entire time. It wasn't like even like a big reveal or anything. It was just like common. I'm not mad about it, even though I sound mad about it. I'm not mad about it, but I'm more like disappointed, kind of, because I was expecting this, you know, because like sometimes the smut ties in with the story and it makes sense. This did not make sense. It was just like for the sake of it, and I hate when books do it for the sake of it. I don't know, I'm like sleep deprived. Yeah, 4.5. Next book. I don't know which one I'm gonna pick next. The Coworker. It was saying that it was available to be borrowed, but then it was like, no, you have to put a hold on it, and I have a 4-week wait for that book. So, child, see if I'm gonna listen to that. Usually it comes a little bit earlier, but sometimes it comes like right after I finish the book, and it just makes me so mad. But anyway, I did get the audiobook for I Feed Her to the Beast and the Beast is Me. This book is quite short. It's not super long. I think it's like a little bit more than 300, maybe like 320 or so. The audiobook is 12 hours, which light work, honestly, for me. And the pages are pretty thick, and the words are not super small. The font is like regular size. Let me show you. The font is like regular size. It's not teeny tiny. So, and I love when books have huge margins because I like to write in them. Between the ages of 8 years old to 47 years old, and most of them. Wait, it's me! It's 11, almost 12 a.m. p.m. I'm about 21% into the book. That's 74 pages in, and I read like the prologue and the first chapter, you know, physically, and since my class ended, I listened to part 2. I listened to the rest of the first part and then half of part 2. I think we're in part 2 still. So I'm on chapter what? On chapter 7. I did tab it. Can you see that? Yeah, I did tab it. And don't you love when you take the sleeve off a book and it's like a little hidden cover that contributes, like it has something to do with the book, or the cover has something to do with the book? Because like, while this does work and you take off the dust jacket, I was wondering what this is. It's ballerina hands, because she's a ballerina. This book does have the makings of a 5-star, and I'm gonna tell you why. First of all, POC main character. That's it. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, POV main character. Plus, we're in France. Okay, look at us being all fancy. But the story is, okay, there is this young black girl named Lawrence, or Lore. Everybody calls her Lore. And her mom was a ballerina, but not like super influential. It was just like her livelihood. She wasn't like famous or anything. And then her dad was kind of too laid back for his own good, if you know what I mean. She kind of just knew that he was not going to be her support system. And her mom just vanished one day, as in she left and just never came back. And this girl's like, at 8 years old, she just shows up to this a prestigious ballet academy, and she's like, y'all are going to teach me, no questions. And they're like, okay. So it's like years later. She went up there when she was like 7 or 8. It's years later. She's like 17 now, and she's best friends. Really, it's her only friend, but she's best friends with this Nepo baby. And I use that loosely because her best friend is from a long line of famous ballet dancers. Like, her mom was a ballet dancer turned model turned actor, and then like her great grandma and her grandmother. It's just like she comes from a long line of it, and so people just give her roles because of who she is. And her mom's like a part of the board, so she can do that. And there's this other character named Josephine who was an apprentice, and even though she was an apprentice, just 2 years ago, she ended up rising to the top really fast and ended up being like Broadway level Cinderella, you know, performing in these very influential places. And everyone's wondering, how did you do this? Because when you came in, you were just like us. Like, you were not this good. And they have like all these rumors that, hey, she kills ballerinas, or she drinks blood, or all this. Our main character, her being black, has a lot to do with how she's treated, especially because this is not America, so it's not as accepting. So she gets the role as Giselle. First of all, they say she's uptight when they assess her body, and then she does the performance. She's getting all these like applause, and she says she feels like a god. She's like, I'm their god. She's talking really weird too. She's like, I am their god. These are my people, my devoters. Their hands don't get tired of clapping. And I'm like, okay, queen. And she overhears the judges outside talking about how she's so aggressive with it. And he literally like tells her to her face, like, people like you aren't suited for stuff like this. I hear it's more accepting in America, but I think you do better in more exotic roles. Exotic roles? Because she's black. So she definitely gets treated different, even by her peers. Like, she's talking in the beginning. She's talking to her peers, or she's listening to them talk about Josephine. And then she says something, and everyone just goes quiet and side-eyes her until her white best friend says something. Josephine's like, if you want to get like me, my girl, you just got to get this like little blood sacrifice, and it will give you whatever you want. She's made it abundantly clear, like, throughout the book, if she's not a dancer, then she's not anything. That's what she said multiple times. So she said that her life is of no use to her if she can't be a dancer. That's what's happening. I think she just sold her soul. Dude, as soon as I finished this book, which I just finished it like 5 minutes ago, as soon as I finished it, the audiobook for The Coworker became free. So I'm about to listen to that. But thoughts on this one. Okay, so I think I explained most of the plot earlier, but it's basically about this ballet dancer, this black ballet dancer in France, where in like an all-white company, where she is undervalued, even though she's been top of her class for years, and she doesn't really get the roles that she wants. She's always overlooked and underappreciated, pretty much. And so and then like I told you, this other girl, Josephine, she was like her. What am I doing? She was like her, but she suddenly became popular. Like, she shot up in popularity and like had all these shows and outfits and stuff, and she's just like, I want to be like you. So throughout the book, it's just like a struggle of her like fighting against this power, because with this power she can I would say mind control. Like, she would tell you stop talking. You'll stop talking. She'll tell you after this show you're gonna go move and you're never gonna come back here again, and you'll move and you won't even know why, because she can tell you to forget the conversation. I was expecting horror because there is like a little bit of romance in this, so I was definitely expecting way more horror, way more scary stuff, but it wasn't that scary. Not to say it was bad, but I haven't rated it yet. But as you can see, I did tab it. Here's the tabs. And so I did, it's not gonna, it would be a lie to say I didn't enjoy this book, but I'm still thinking, because I was about to give it a 5-star because, you know, I kind of rate things in the moment, but I kind of feel like this needs to marinate for a little bit, because it's definitely more than a 3, but I feel like it's less than a 5, because I would highly rate this book. It's just that it definitely went in a complete different direction than I thought it would. And after the conflict happened, because I'm not going to spoil it too much, after the conflict happened, it felt like it just like was pointless for it to keep going, but it kept going anyway. It has like this weird, what is it? It's not narcissism, but it's like masochist. She's a masochist. That's what I meant to say. She keeps saying, I'm their God, I want to be their God, I deserve their devotion. And this guy that she likes, Archeron, who is also part of all this with the blood and stuff, she's like telling him like, bow down to me, and like, am I your God? And I'm just like, okay. I would say it's weird, but considering her character, it just felt so out of character for her. It just didn't make sense to me. And every time she said that, I just cringed, because it's like, and he, like, out of all the people, he's probably the only one who would do it, even without her controlling him. He did it. So I mean, I've gotten 2 4s, haven't gotten a 5-star yet. I do recommend it if you like horror. I guess this would be considered horror realism, huh? Because it wasn't like super, okay, it was kind of unrealistic, but it wasn't super unrealistic. I don't have anything else to say. Freida McFadden books are always a hit or miss for me, which I'm starting to read The Coworker next. Freida McFadden is always a hit or miss for me, because like when I read, what was it? I absolutely hated it. I think I rated like 2 stars. But then I listened to One by One. It was like a 4 or a 5. Like one was a 4, one was a 5. So I mean, her books are always a hit or miss for me. I'm probably gonna fall asleep. But yeah, I'll see ya. Hey peeps, 1 a.m. Isn't it crazy how I'm always giving these updates like early in the morning? And my phone is balanced on this cabinet, so if it falls, I don't want to think about it. Just finished The Coworker by Freida McFadden. As you can see, I like this one. To be honest, I literally like just finished it like the second before I'm filming, so I'm still trying to debate how I feel about it. I like the storyline, I like the characters, I like the plot twist. So, I mean, like literally got shivers down my spine when the plot twist happened. I literally did not see that coming. So, I wouldn't say I'm that conflicted. And the vibes were great, okay? The vibes were just vibing when I read it. And I don't know, it's smelling like 5 stars. It's giving 5-star. I've been putting this book off for so long because I had a bad experience with Freida McFadden before, but I'm gonna have to say my radar is correct this time. We did it. We did it, Joe. We did it. I don't know. I just like showing off the tabs after I read a book. Aren't they so pretty? I did like overdo it a little bit. Like I stuck them out a little too far, but isn't it so pretty? I was off with my last 2 books, but this is definitely a 5-star. Side note, I just watched Destiny Sidewell's video today where she was reading her anticipated reads, and she also read Bride by Ali Hazelwood, and she had the same thoughts as me, but she rated it lower. Like, I think she gave it a 2.5. Because, like I was saying, it didn't make sense for their romance to suddenly pick up. Like, for half the book, they're not talking, and then suddenly they're just smut, smut, smut. Like, what? When I was editing earlier, I realized that I talk a lot. I don't know if this is supposed to be spoiler-free. And I have not even finished editing the part for Bride yet. Because it's like me in the middle of explaining, like a 20-minute video of me explaining like the plot. And so yeah, that's, anyway, the plot of this book. Okay, like I already told you, I like the characters, I like the plot twist, and I didn't see it coming. I'm gonna explain this way quicker than I did the other books that I read. So the plot of this book, did I even explain the last book? I think I did. Anyway, the plot of this book, there is this girl, this woman named Natalie. They're all like around 30, 40. So there's this woman named Natalie. She works an office job. She is very, I'm not going to say demanding, but very like high class. Like she has these, what are they? Red, the boots with, I mean the heels with the red at the bottom, you know, those expensive shoes. And she has like a whole bunch of name brand stuff and like diamonds, even though the company doesn't pay that well for her to have all that. And then we have her coworker Dawn, who's in the cubicle like right next to her, and I'm pretty sure she's autistic because she is not good at reading social cues or facial expressions, and her special interest is turtles, which we've like seen throughout the entire book. And so Dawn is pretty odd, right? And Natalie is pretty mean to her, which it starts off, okay, with her being like, I'm such a good person, I'm so nice to her, like, I'm way nicer to her than she deserves, I'm way nicer to her than she deserves. Like, what is that supposed to mean? But what happens one day is, Dawn, she comes to work every day at the same time, she eats her lunch break every day at the same time, and so one day she doesn't come into work, and Natalie gets a phone call. Like, there's a phone call at Dawn's desk, and she answers it, and it's Dawn saying like, help me, like terrified. And so she goes to her boss man, and she's like, she's not here today. And then we just got a call, like, this is really weird. And everybody's telling her like, girl, chill. She goes to Dawn's house because she took her home one day, so she knew where her house was. She ends up going to Dawn's house and finds like pools, like a big old pool of blood and like 2 wine glasses. And she's like, okay, yeah, this girl has been killed or kidnapped. She gets framed for it, and so she's like the prime suspect. There was no point in this book that I was like bored reading. Like, I read, and there was like no point where I felt like I wanted to stop reading or put it down for a little bit to get like a refresher of something else. I like it. It might be that I was really in a thriller mood, or I've been obsessed with Freida McFadden lately, but definitely recommend. 5 out of 5.
Can't do that one. Can't do that.
You have to.
Nah, I ain't got to do nothing.
Freaking burns, dude. Update on Piglet at 2:40 a.m. This is how far I'm in. 310 pages or something. It's not super big. I'm on page 107. Actually, to be honest, I have no idea what genre this book is. I'm thinking literary fiction from how it's been going so far. Of course, I tabbed it. It's just what I do. Like, some people just save it for special books. I do it to any book that piques my interest. It's about this woman named Piglet. I don't know if they said her real name. I know that's a nickname because they said that only certain people call her that, and her dad's the one who came up with that. But we have our main character Piglet, and she's getting married, and her fiance Kit. They moved in together into a new house, and they have like this house party with all of their friends. And Piglet, she likes to cook, so she throws down in the kitchen and she makes like this big old meal for them. Then she goes to her fiance's house, her fiance's parents' house, and the mom offers her like a 10-week exercise plan because she's like, we gotta look good for this wedding. And Piglet's like, okay. The book is basically her counting down until their wedding day. We start off on day 98, and then as it goes on, we get to like day 20, and then on day 12, he tells her something that completely shifts her view of him. And I'm thinking, they didn't say it exclusively, but I'm thinking that he cheated on her. He would tell her 13 days before their wedding, and she would feel his words lodged like a shard of bone between her ribs. They didn't exclusively say what he told her, but I'm thinking he cheated on her. We're like on day 12 now, and he's like constantly calling her and texting her, asking like, are we okay? Are you okay? Can we talk? And he's being like a man child. Like, he is crying and whining. Like, he's like, be
mad at me. Do something. Say anything.
And he's like, she comes home from grocery shopping. He's sitting on the couch crying. And he's like, I thought you left me. And she's just like, obviously she has every right to feel as upset as she does. She goes from like super excited to get married to not being able to stand this guy. She's over this man, and honestly, as she should. She needs to pack up and leave. She got the nickname Piglet from her dad because they try to call her Big Back, basically. She has conflicting self-image because she talks a lot about how she wished she was smaller and she envied the smaller people, especially when she's like standing next to someone that's smaller than her. You know, when you're reading like a literary fiction, it's like a little bit harder to read and to skim past because it's just written in such like a poetic way that you have to like linger on every word, because like this is not one of those thriller books that you can just skim and basically get the plot. You know, your brain fills in the blanks. This is something like I never know what is gonna come next. And right now my rating is sitting at a, let me see, it's not quite a 5 yet, but it's like almost there because I'm liking the characters and the story. And I always say this, but I feel like it's just missing something, and I feel like that something's gonna come up later. Ciao! I went on like a 3-hour walk with my brother earlier, and my legs still hurt. I read this book a little bit, and then I fell asleep for like 7 hours. A little bit over halfway, and I just have to say, this book is not bad, but it is pretty slow. Like on page 150, I think that's where I left off before I fell asleep. Basically, we have 2 days left into the wedding. Side note, I don't know if I mentioned this, but her friend is pregnant. Her friend has always wanted kids. And so she, like, not envies her, but she's kind of upset about it because she's like, she's my best friend, and now she's no longer just that. She's somebody's wife. She's somebody's mother. She has, like, a whole different family. Her family's going in a complete different direction from mine. And she's, like, her own person. I'm no longer the center of her world, and she's no longer the center of my world. Like, what do we do now? I don't like the pacing, but I'm liking the story, I think. Did I skip over a couple paragraphs when it was talking about what she was cooking in like insane detail? Yes. Yes, I did. I just finished. It's crazy. I actually finished this one. What time is it? It's like 12 o'clock in the afternoon this time. It's noon this time, okay? I'm not recording at like 3 in the morning. Have you noticed that now my allergies are acting up? I looked up the genre like I said I would. And it is literary fiction, or they also call it contemporary fiction. Never heard of that before, but you know, if it's not a library book, I tab it. So here's the tabs for anybody that cares. The radar was not off this time because your girl did give this one 5 stars. Hallelujah. Piglet is a literary fiction about a woman who enjoys cooking and eating. She is supposed to get married to this guy in 98 days. Around day, I don't know what I said, 20, around day 20, he tells her that he cheated on her or whatever, and he asks if they're gonna proceed with the wedding. She's like, yeah, we'll go do the wedding anyway, and they do have a wedding. As time goes on, she's like, okay, I feel like after we get married, everything's gonna be okay. I'm gonna be okay with this. I'm gonna learn to live with it. But she realizes that she cannot learn to live with it. So yes, we have a runaway bride, but even the ending was amazing. Like, I don't want to spoil too much, but even the ending, like from start to finish, these people feel so real. And that's like one reason that I love literary fiction, because these feel like people that you can meet anywhere on the street. Like, so real. The conflicts that she has, the poeticness of the words, of the sentences. Like, do you see the amount of green tabs? I don't know if you can, but green tabs are things that I feel were so beautifully written, or red tabs where it's just stuff that I feel like wow, like you wrote this. 5s across the board. I don't know if I will ever get over this book. I'm not gonna say trigger warnings, but there is like some warnings that I feel should be given for this book, like disordered eating, because they do talk about that in her relationship with food a lot, fear of change, and the inner conflicts that she has with her morals. And I am going to devour this book. Thank you so much, Goodreads, for sending me this ARC read. Okay, the Coworker by Frida McFadden, that's okay. I could have gone without. But this one right here, my life is forever changed. This is definitely going to be in my top 5 books of the year. Next, I'm going to start Verity. And also, I was wondering why the hold for the audiobook for this hasn't come through yet. Girl, it's February. This book doesn't come out till March. They recorded the audiobook, but it's not going to be released till March. I don't know why I didn't think of that. But anyways, I'm saving the first 15 Lives of Perry August for last because I've been anticipating that one for so long.
I know good well you ain't cut me off. Hello? I know you hear me talking to you. Heifer, do you hear me talking to you? Why
Excuse me, I know you hear my mama talking to you, ho. Don't make me get out of do it. Mom, should I do it to this bitch?
Yeah,
Because I know she even talking to you. I know. Excuse me, now don't put your window up now.
The bird shows bitter.
Okay, I'm like 57% in, you can see. Yes, I have been tabbing it. Let's take a moment to appreciate how well the tabs match the cover. Yeah. There hasn't been any romance yet, but I feel like there's going to be. This book really reminds me of, what was the book I just read? The Wife Upstairs by Frida McFadden vibes from this, where the wife was involved in some kind of accident, but she's still being taken care of by her husband despite her not having the motor and mental functions that she needs, to function as a person. But the only difference is that in that book, the wife wanted kids. In this book, she absolutely did not want kids, but she ended up actually having them anyway. I'm pretty sure she's like a psycho. She's like actually crazy. Like she tried. No spoilers. I have never read a Colleen Hoover book like this. If I keep reading at the pace I'm reading, I'm probably going to finish this today. Colleen Hoover books and like Frida McFadden books, they're just like so simple that they're not hard to read and it's not hard to keep up with, so you can kind of just like skim over it and not really miss anything, because Colleen Hoover, while she, like, you can say whatever you want about her writing, is very simple and easy to understand. To be honest, I had no idea what the plot was before I started reading it, and I just knew a lot of people talked about it. The plot is, we have our main character, and I already forgot her name, Lo or something. He calls her Lo or Lar or whatever, but she is a writer, not a big shot writer. She's not well known, you know, and she likes it like that. She's not trying to be popular. She's not trying to get her 15 minutes of fame. She's trying to just get it out there, and she's like an introvert like me. She doesn't want to be noticed. On the first page, some guy literally gets ran over and people just like walk around him, but she's like kind of shell-shocked. She has this meeting on the 14th floor. He has this meeting on the 14th floor. Obviously they end up meeting each other on the floor. He is the husband of a very famous writer named Verity, which is the name of the book. She has this series that she's writing. She has 6 books completed, but she needs to finish the last 3 books. And she has been involved in this car accident where she's kind of catatonic, so she can't write, she can't speak. She only has her basic motor functions like eating and sleeping and blinking. And she said that she'd want our main character to be the person to write her books because they have a very similar writing style. So her husband is paying her like $500,000 to write this lady's book, to go through these manuscripts in their house and finish these last 3 books. And she can publish it under a fake pen name, and so she doesn't have to end up getting recognized, and she doesn't have to do press tours and all that. So she's like, okay, well, that's a deal. Before she got into a wreck, she actually like lost 2 of her kids. They were twins, 2 girls. One of them drowned, and I think one of them, something else happened to one of them. It's 7:34. When I said that I was going to finish this in a day, I didn't think I was actually going to finish this in a day. Here's the tabs. I like to show them off. Here's the tabs. And I just got to say, I've done it again. Like, the video started off weak, but we got very strong. 5 stars. 5 stars. I was so sure that I was going to cry. But like I said, it's giving the heavy The Wife Upstairs by Frida McFadden vibes. This woman is believed to have done some heinous acts, and it turns out she actually didn't. But they already killed her. So it's a little late now. My brain is still jumbled after reading this, but it's definitely a 5 star. The letter at the end, I feel like it makes sense as a suicide note. It's like 7 pages of this note, and it makes sense, but like I didn't want to read it, to be honest. Everybody Hates It Ends With Us and It Starts With Us. Those are my favorite books by her, but this might have taken the #1 spot. I like it. I really like it. I don't have anything else to say. That's it. That's the review. It's like 5 minutes later. Ignore the fact that I've been wearing the same shirt for like 2 days or 3 days. Mind yours, okay? I'm finally about to read the first 15 lives of Harry August after I take a shower, of course. And I don't know what to expect at all. I just know that it's just a guy that just keeps getting reincarnated. That's basically all I know about it. Oh my gosh. Hello. It's I think it's a day later. I started reading this yesterday. It's a day later. I got to almost page 50. I think I'm on page 44. And I didn't realize this book had 400 pages. It's not a big deal. And honestly, as of now, I have no idea what to say about this book. I like it, but it's really slow, and it was definitely it's different from what I was expecting. It's kind of serious. It's like pretty serious. It's like, it feels, because of how hard it is to read, it kind of feels like a literary fiction. This is all sci-fi apparently, but Harry, he's talking about his different lives. He's on his like fourth one now, where he found out there's like a society for people with this who just live the same few years over and over. He told his wife about it. She sent him to an insane asylum. He went to the same insane asylum in his third life before he self-deleted. I was gonna say it's okay. It's not what I was expecting. It's not boring, but it's boring. It's like watching a documentary, but like one with someone who has a very monotone voice and they use the same 5 clips over and over. Hello. I think it's like 2 days later. Honestly, I stopped keeping track of the days. I think it's February 29th. I was not anticipating this video taking like 10 days to film. I think I started filming this on like the 18th, so that just shows how long it took me to read these books. Oh, you thought I was done? You thought I was finished? I'm still on this book. Seriously. I only got to page 100. I'm on chapter 25. Yeah, it's 9 a.m. February 29th. I'm 100 pages into this book. As you can see, that's not very far, especially considering the fact that this book is 400 pages and I had literally no idea. Like, I thought this was going to be a quick read. I think I said this already, but I'm just going to say it again. It's slow. While we're like slowly but surely learning about his different lives, like we just got to his 5th life on page 100 and there's like 15 lives. I'm not seeing anything remotely interesting happening. You know, I'm saying like this is what 1984 was trying to be, because it's like with 1984, if I didn't have the audiobook, I would have DNF'd it. I have searched high and low for the audiobook. Libby doesn't have it and Amazon has it, but I'm not logged into the Audible account. So because this is one of those books where it'd be better on audiobook. Like Fairy Tale by Stephen King and The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak, those books I only finished because they were audiobooks. If I had to actually like sit down and read those books, I don't think I would have rated them as high as I did. So I feel like certain books should just be audiobooks, or some books just sound better as audiobooks. Not an audiobook in sight for this one, so I'm just gonna have to keep suffering through it. And if I keep reading at the rate that I'm reading, it's probably gonna take me a few more days to finish this. Anyways, I'm going to start reading it now. I will come back with updates if I don't fall asleep. This camera makes my skin look terrible. You can see my acne in HD. Finished it. I wasn't planning on finishing it today. I didn't think I was going to finish it today. I was actually going to DNF this book. Like, I was so close to DNFing this book. Actually, it might be a 5-star. What am I talking about? This is a 5-star book. If my voice sounds a little bit weird, it's because I'm trying to hold back tears right now. The first 14 lives of Harry August is about this man named Harry August, obviously, and there's like this race of people that just keep getting reincarnated over and over again. They live the same life, same time period over and over. Like, they can change their choices and stuff as long as they don't affect any like major historical events. They can literally change anything. After they usually discover what they are, they kind of go into this kind of psychosis or madness where they end up like killing themselves or having like no regard for life because they just know they're going to come back again. And our main character is that guy. He was born, I think, like in the 1920s or something. He was born as a bastard child. Let's say it how it is. His mom was R-A-P-E-D. They said it a lot, but that's literally how the book starts off. I was just so confused. There definitely is trigger warnings for this book. Like, number one being that there's also like talk of like the Soviet Union and all this crap that I have no idea about. I would say if you want to read this book, you have to have like a very extensive knowledge of historical events, because a lot of stuff happens, including like the Soviet Union and just like a whole bunch of other like major historical events, like the world wars and other wars after that I have like no idea about, which is why it was kind of taking me a while to go through this book. And also it has like Stephen King-esque info dumping, where they'll just like say a whole bunch of like stuff for pages on end, and I'm not gonna lie, I skipped over some of it because it added nothing to the story, yapping just to yap. These are the tabs. This might be the most tabbed book of the video, actually. I don't know what else to say. I almost cried reading this book. I did not press that button, so I don't know how this started recording. That was actually a little scary. These are our 6 books from the video. We're gonna go by, I already gave my ratings, but we're gonna go through one by one just to recount. First of all, Bride by Ali Hazelwood. It was good, but just the ending, like the last 40% was unnecessary. I Feed Her to the Beast, and the Beast is me. This book was also like 4 because it was getting there, but there was like just a weird part of it with her being kind of masochistic that I didn't like. Piglet, which was a literary fiction that I thought was hard to get through at first, but then it got very, very easy to get through. And I think I rated this 5. Yeah, this was a 5-star, so the radar wasn't that off. Coworker by Frida McFadden, which I don't think I can ever rate another Frida McFadden book under 4 stars. So yeah, this was definitely a 5, and it definitely 8. Charity by Colleen Hoover, and now that I've read this book, I can finally watch that 2-hour-long video essay about it. I see a lot of people pointing out the faults in this book, but I just think it's funny, and I think this book 8. I had a great time reading it, and so I definitely gave it 5 stars, even though like the ending didn't make sense and most of the book didn't make sense, and she tried to like explain everything that didn't make sense in the book in that last like 7-page letter. It 8. It was good. Lastly, The First 15 Lives of Harry August. This book definitely was not what I was expecting. I was expecting less historical, more sci-fi, because it is listed as just like a strictly sci-fi book. Well, for the most part. So I was not expecting all the history in this, and for someone who did not pay attention in social studies, this was confusing, but I'm still on the verge of tears. I finished this book like 5 minutes ago, and I'm still thinking about it. So I think that warrants a 5-star. This is the end of the video. I've been filming this video for like 2 weeks now, so please say you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Here's all my tabs in case anybody wanted to see. And I'll see you next video. Bye-bye.